Hello YouTube, it's Emma Bless10 here with my thoughts on the official Yugioh TCG ban list, which will be in effect from April 1st, 2014 to July the 13th, 2014. So here is the next ban list for the next 4 months of the format, second ban list of this year. And I've got to say, I've had a look over it and I really don't know what to say about it, in all honesty. It's not good and it's not bad. It could have been better, I think. But I'm just going to talk about what cards have been hit and obviously what decks they affect and everything. You know, just the usual, and I hope you guys enjoy. So here we go. So first off, banned is Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. Now, I can understand why Morphing Jar was banned. In Dark World especially, its discard ability and everything was too good for Dark World. You know, if you got that in your opening hand or at least early game, it gave you massive advantage with the Dark Worlds. Besides Dark World, Morphing Jar was only used really outside deck out decks, I believe. But it was basically the main card that really got Dark Worlds going. And if anybody decided to side it in as a little pain in the neck card to use against you, then that was their choice and everything. But I didn't like Morphing Jar at all. I hated it. The amount of times it screwed me over. Well, I don't really want to recollect those memories, thank you very much. Morphing Jar 2 is a very interesting one as well. I have gone up against the card a couple of times. I find it highly annoying. But straight from 3 to 1, the main reason I can think of is because it does mill a lot of cards. So, in Light Sworns and there's probably the new Sylvians and that as well. Too good, I suppose, with the milling ability. And all that, so I can probably understand why it's, you know, I'm not entirely sure why it's gone from 3 to 1 and everything, but that's just my thoughts and my understanding of it. But if you guys know or have any more opinions about that, then just post down in the comments below. But that's all it is for banned, just those 2 cards. As you can see, there's nothing else banned in the banned section of list. In limited, we have Coach Soldier Wolfbark, which is a level 4 beast monster, I believe. It has an ability to special summon a level 4 beast warrior fire type, I think, from the graveyard. You can only use that effect once per turn. So basically it's a resurrection card alongside the Fire Fists. I mean, Fire Fists are OP in their swarming abilities from the deck. Now they have a card that can actually help them do it from the graveyard quite a bit as well. So I can understand why it's been hit. To limited, you know, just to make sure that Fire Fists don't go too OP in their swarm ability, because from the deck I think is more than adequate, in all honesty. So that's Fire Fists been toned down a little bit anyway, which is pretty good. Next is Mermail Abyssgundine. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the one that searches out Mermails from the deck to the hand, so in other words it's like the Sangan, but if it's Sangan of the deck, the Mermail deck. So it's been limited now, which is a good choice again. Thins the deck, still slows the deck down just a little bit. So I can understand why, because Firefist and Mermails are 2 of the main decks right now and everything. Also added to limited is Rekindling. Again, that's the Firefist side, because a lot of Firefists have 200 attack or defense or less, really. Not so good for people who use Flamville or Laval cards. You know, it's a bit unfair for them now that they don't have this key card to swarm from the graveyard. But again, I think Konami's just trying to limit Fire Fists into their swarming from the deck and not the graveyard, because that would make them just too OP, I think. So, understandably, with Rekindling. Also limited is Infernity Barrier. Even though I've been out the meta a little while, I've heard some Infernity type decks are doing good. So Infernity Barrier was really their key card to really spring it into action and everything, so I can understand why. However, I am very, very surprised that there's no Abyss Sphere on here, because I think that would have been a bit more fair towards limiting Mermails anyway, to some extent, since, you know, Fire Fists have been hit with 2 of their cards and everything. I just personally feel Mermails should have had at least Abyss Sphere stopped as well, just because I think that card is pretty OP and it really helps out the Mermails greatly, in all honesty. But that's it for the limited. So that's only 4 cards from the limited. So in total, that's 6 cards altogether so far, which is really interesting. It's quite a short ban. It's quite a short, small change, to be honest, but it is hitting the right decks in the right places, although I think they could have done a bit more. On to semi-limited now. Necroface. I can understand why. It's not doing very much in all honesty, and a lot of people don't want their cards from their decks to be banished. I mean, if it's in the graveyard and they can use it that way, then that's fine. But I don't think anybody would want the top 5 cards of their deck banished or anything, because you know those kind of cards can be very advantageous for oneself. So it's interesting. I don't know if we'll see it. It might be used in things like chaos decks and that, but I don't think it'll be as much of an impact as it was before a long time ago. Also added to semi-limited is Hieratic Seal of Convocation. So it's only been off the ban list for a short time at 3, and it's gone back to 2 now, which is understandable with Hieratic Dragon Ruler. And as you guys also saw back up there, the Dragon Rulers have not been hit either. They've still stayed at limited because they're still doing very well in other variant deck types, and they're still making money for Konami. Why get rid of something that's making you profit? That's just my personal opinion. So Hieratic Seal, just to slow down the Hieratics a little bit. However, I feel they should have at least semied or limited maybe Tefnu as well, mainly because she's the Cyber Dragon of the deck, and she's got the extra effect of being able to summon out a Dragon type normal monster from the hand, deck or graveyard when she is tributed. I mean, if you remember back when Cyber Dragon first came out, it was at 3, people complained about its summon ability, it was immediately limited for a long time afterwards. And Tefnu is just exactly the same, only difference is she has the extra effect of summoning a monster. And I think she should have been limited because she's often the key card in setting off the Hieratic engine as well. So I think that should have been hit alongside this Hieratic Seal of Convocation, but it hasn't. But this card did make it a lot easier to get out, to start off the engine and everything, so why not? And then no longer limited is Magical Stone Excavation. No surprise there, a lot of duelists don't want to pay a high hand advantage in order to get back one spell card that could potentially turn the situation around. Primal Seed, I'm very surprised that's back to 3 now. I mean, I have seen a video done by Asian Eyes White Dragon of him using Primal Seed at 3 to give a Beaver Warrior infinite attack. I mean, that was a very interesting video. But personally, competitive wise, I don't think it'll be used much, although I could be wrong. You know, I might be wrong, I don't know, but I don't really see this being played because it wasn't played when it was limited, and I don't think it would have been played at semi either. So, but that's just my personal opinion. So in all, it's small changes. It hits some decks, which is cool. It hits the Firefists, it hits the Mermills as well, although I think it could have done a wee bit better. Again, it also hits the Hieratic Dragon Rulers in a way, but I think it could have added a little bit more. And it actually gets rid of the problem that Dark Worlds had advantage of with the Morphin Jars and that, which is pretty cool. Well, I don't think there's anything else I can really say about this list, guys. That's pretty much it. That's just my thoughts there and then. It's not a good list. It's not a bad list. It hits a good chunk of decks that you know, stops them from being too searchable and too swarming in some ways and everything. But I think the list could have done better. But this is only the second list of the season. Probably around July time we'll probably have a better list, depending on how the next format goes. But anyway, if you guys have got any thoughts and opinions about this current ban list, please post down in the comments below. I look forward to reading them. Until then, we'll take care everybody, and we'll see you guys later. Bye!